feel-good breakfast show Expresso here on S3. And the thing is, I'd love to talk to you about movies. I'd love to say, JP Sebastian's about to unpack the latest movie trailers, but the reality is there is a strike. And we'd be remiss to not actually give you proper details as to how this has come about. JP, let's unpack what is a new narrative with no director, no producer, no writer, just the situation, the strike.
Oh man, talk about agonizing over this thing. Like, I've been sleepless nights going, am I allowed to talk about this? Like, is this ethical to talk about, et cetera, not about the strike, but in movies in general?
Yes.
It's another discussion for another day. So what I really want to do here is, because we're having this discussion because the SAG-AFTRA part of these strikes in Hollywood have hit day 50 this week, and so that's a significant milestone. And I want to start by humanizing strikes, because I think a lot of us, myself included, make the mistake of sometimes thinking artists live off fairy dust and dreams, but they need bread, and they need rent. And these contractual provisions haven't changed for decades. We'll get into the meat and potatoes of that in a second, but here to further humanize that is the nanny herself, but we will call her president, we will call her boss of SAG-AFTRA, Fran Drescher, giving an impassioned plea to the world to understand the plight of the 160,000 acting members of that union.
Entire business model has been changed by streaming, digital, AI. This is a moment of history. That is a moment of truth. If we don't stand tall right now, we are all going to be in trouble. We are all going to be in jeopardy of being replaced by machines and big business, who cares more about Wall Street than you and your family. Most of Americans don't have more than $500 in an emergency. This is a very big deal, and it weighed heavy on us. But at some point, you have to say no. We're not going to take this anymore. You people are crazy. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Privately, they all say we're the center of the wheel. Everybody else tinkers around our artistry. But actions speak louder than words. And there was nothing there. It was insulting. So we came together in strength and solidarity and unity, with the largest strike authorization vote in our union's history. Impassioned,
to say the least. Necessary. If you look at what's happening, we have to have a conversation about this. But let's start off with the cost.
Yes.
The movies that have been delayed and postponed as a result. Let's talk about that just for a second.
So JP's just been a bit selfish here.
It's fine, let's do it. I am very selfish.
What we have to talk about is that obviously the calendar has been moved around, because now one of the conditions obviously is that actors are not allowed to promote their movies if they actually have loyalty to their union, which they do. I'll tell you what, for Oppenheimer, for the premiere, what was really cool is that they were all on the red carpet. They got the call that they got the yes vote to start the strike. And Cillian Murphy and Emily Blunt walked off. They walked off strong. So the first one that faces the music is Dune, that I want to mention. And Dune, yes, I can see you're having a bit of a...
I'm having a twitch here.
Dune has been postponed to March 15th, including Zendaya as well, in Challengers moved to April 26th. Now, interestingly, there's a tactic that some people are trying to get the Timothée Chalamet and the Zendaya stands to gang up on the studios, because what they're basically doing here, and I'll show you some others you can have a pretty look at as well, including Yorgos Lanthimos' apparently masterpiece with Willem Dafoe and Emma Stone, also been moved. So now what they're doing is they're trying to play the waiting game, these studios, to try and sweat out the situation where actors are saying, we cannot promote your movies. We can't go on Graham Norton. We can't talk to that Muhu JP in interviews anymore until we actually get what we demand and what they deserve. So these are pretty interesting things. I don't know if we showed Crater there as another example of one of these movies, but aside from just delays, one of the despicable things that we're seeing is one movie, Crater, which was this coming of age, set on sci-fi and space, major big budget kind of thing, was deleted entirely from the Disney streaming service.
What?
So that they could make kickbacks and tax breaks and stuff like that. Rather than pay residuals. And that's one of the first things that we'll talk about in the next phase of this segment, which is, how did we get here?
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. The why.
Residuals. Have we heard this term? So this is basically a check that actors would get monthly based on their previous work. So every time you bought a DVD, every time you went to go hire a movie, etc., a portion of that is due to them by their contracts. Reason being is that while we work 9 to 5, or you work 4 a.m. to like 10 p.m. because you're a madman, the thing is that actors will read a script for months.
Yes.
And you know what? Tell you what, our director can show some of the beautiful faces of some of the faces that we know who are doing the right thing, and they're on the picket line as we speak. Cedric the Entertainer there and Kevin Bacon as two of the first examples. And you enjoy the eye candy of the beautiful people who are supporting the blue-collar cause of their other members of 168,000 people who don't earn the millions they do. Oh, there's Aaron Paul and Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad. Aaron Paul, by the way, made 0 in residuals from Netflix. They paid him nothing. So what residuals do is an actor reads a script for months. An actor does rehearsals. An actor then shoots the production, then has to wait for editing, post, etc., etc. And so you're not doing the 9 to 5 job. What do you do when you have to pay rent during that time? You earn residuals on the previous stuff you did, which is probably a thing that we should all have. If these streaming services can come up with a subscription model where you, as South Africans, as viewers, have to pay monthly to see their stuff, then we probably should all get shares of the stuff that we make anyway. So that's the main thing, is residuals need to be revised because it's been 40 years since these have been looked at properly, and streaming services literally say, we don't know where your money goes. We don't know which movies deserve what, because we don't show you the box office figures the way big screen movies do, which is a lie. Because this is precisely the point they started streaming services, is because you can look at data of who's streaming what, etc., etc. So in France, for example, actors do get their residuals because by law they should present what people are watching on their streaming services. So you can say which actor deserves what. So that's a first fight. Big fight as well that Fran Drescher mentioned, there's AI, of course, as well. Which is deeply unethical. And now courts are finding that actually there will be big copyright ramifications. And that's where the third part comes in, which we'll probably cover very quickly because I know we're pressed for time.
Yes, we are very much. So where do we go from here?
So I'll tell you some interesting points is that the strike now, we're at day 50 of SAG-AFTRA. We had 128 of the writers' strike. Last time they were combined fighting like this was 1961 against AMPTP, the representative of the producers, of the studios, etc., etc. And they said they are ready to fight to the death for it because one of the insiders of these executives despicably said they're ready to wait for actors to lose homes and have to live in their cars before they actually go to the negotiating table. And so the actors, like Aaron Paul said, we don't care. We will fight until the day Earth implodes. Who cares? And the writers are saying, these executives don't know what it's like to write a script on a friend's couch desperately while you're trying to survive because you can't pay rent. So that's the state of the situation now. Interestingly, you've got the VFX artists of Marvel and you've got the VFX artists of Disney, both unionizing. You've also now got SAG-AFTRA saying that they're going to give their voice actors for video games the right to strike, and they've just voted for that too. So their strike's proliferating. Contagion is in the air, and maybe people will get what they deserve.
And isn't that the bottom line? Thank you for articulating that so beautifully as well. When people do need to get what they deserve, they work very hard, and we have to understand that the arts, they do deserve everything, and I'm talking about all the rewards from the hard work. You know, to put something together, it's laborious. It takes time away from their families. Let's, give them what they deserve.
They're stuck in the same job for months without seeing the check until the thing is delivered to us at the ticket box office.
JP, thank you so much for articulating that so beautifully, as mentioned. And I mean, that's the situation. We'd love to bring you some more movies and trailers, etc. But until the strike is over and people get what they deserve, we'll be here doing what we can to showcase exactly what that situation is. As of course, 50-day milestone, 128-day with regard to the writers. But of course, this has all made me hungry. Let's go cook.